So I don't normally make videos on this channel or at all, but I came up with this clock method and I think it has potential, so I thought I would share. It's essentially a combination of 10-move Memoless and optimized Pochmann. If you don't know about those, then you should look them up, and I'll leave links to the tutorials where I learned them in the description. But you should be able to learn this method even without knowing those. I just might not explain it as well as those. So I'll start with a scramble, and it'll be this scramble. Hopefully you can see that. I haven't vetted this scramble, so it might be a really bad example, but here we go. Deal 2. Just gonna check it real quick. Looks like I got everything right. Okay, so here we go. The first step of the Foxgirl Flip is to find your start. And for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to do this first start that I see with the light clocks on front and the 12 o'clock pointed up. And the first move of the method, I typically do an X2 to check this. But it's going to be a simul move with the D pins up. So on the back, you want to make this center clock align with the clock that's going to be on top. So that'll be a 2. So it'll be a 2 like that, which means on this side it's a +2. And then at the same time, you want to make the center clock align with the top clock here. So that's 2 there. So you do 2 there and 2 there. And now we have that first part of the cross on this side, and on the back we also have the first part of the cross. We do that so that then when we flip it over, we don't have to do a D move anymore. So that's the only time that we'll ever touch either of these bottom 2 dials during the whole solve. So after that, you then start to basically just do a normal 10-move Memoless solve. So you align these two with one other piece of the cross. I typically go with the left side here, but you also want to align a corner. And you can do that with a simul move like that. So here it would be like that. And then you finish building your cross as normal. So we would align those 4 with this one, and then we would align all of those with that one. And then we would do a flip. And you do an X2 flip because that's, of course, the fastest kind of flip that you can do. And because of how we did the first step, we already have those, and our simul move was specifically picked so that there's no possibility of us messing these 2 clocks up. So one important thing here is that the corner that you solved ends up in the down left position. Because corners are always the same on both sides, this is going to be me rambling about theory for a minute, but because corner clocks are always the same on both sides, we can look at this clock to tell us where the alignment of the back cross is, as long as we don't make any simul moves that would break up the alignment of these 5 clocks on the back. So meanwhile, on the second side, we will make a simul move to build that square there. That's a typical cross-building kind of move, but then also a simul move there to align that corner with it. And the reason that that works, theory time again, is because on the back you have 3 pins up, which means that the whole cross will move. And since the pin with the corner that you solved is also up, that'll mean that that corner will also move and all the pieces will stay together. So continuing on this side, here you can't actually do just an L move because that would break the corner that we solved. So this corner should be solved and it's not. So since you can't do an L move, you have to do a UL move. Like that. I'm really bad at this right now, and also in general, but it's fine. So then you build these, and at the same time you want to do a simul move to build a little bar down here. So that'll just be one here, aligning the bottom edge with the bottom right corner. Then you finish your cross, and conveniently you already have these two corners solved because of the diagonal moves that you've done. Next you want to do these 3 pins and align the opposite corners. And you do that so that on both sides you have this kind of pattern where diagonal corners are aligned with the cross. And what that lets you do is push this pin down and do a simultaneous diagonal move to align everything like that. So again, on this side, we move all of these clocks to 12. These two corners match, and this corner matches with the entire cross back here. It's just one simul move there to point everything to 12 and finish the solve. So I'm going to walk through that again a little bit quicker, only saying the things that you would need to practically know. Here's a second scramble because I just refreshed it without thinking. I meant to do the same scramble, but maybe we'll get a better example out of this one anyway. This is DR6, DL4 minus, DL3. So once again, I'm going to start just in the orientation that we get from ending the scramble. So we look on the back. You know what? I'll actually show how to use skips in this one. The main kind of skip that we're going to be looking at and using, and pretty much the only kind of skip for the most practical version of the method, is going to be center to edge skips. So from the scrambling orientation, if we do a Y2, then we actually have this center edge skip here. And the best place to put that is going to be on the front, so that then you actually never have to do a D move, right? Because the only time we touched a D move, a bottom dial in that first solve, was during that first move. So if we can skip that here, then we never have to do that ever, and the solution is very ergonomic. So we have those matching, and then on the back we see that that's a 3. And it'd be a 3 like that. So pulling 3, so it's a -3 on this side. So I'd do a -3, and normally I'd also be simultaneously doing a D move, but we got this lucky skip, so we don't have to worry about that. And then we continue with 10-move Memoless stuff. So we would align these two with the left to work on our cross and also align this corner simultaneously. And then we align this square with our right edge and then our bottom edge to finish the cross plus one corner. Then we do X2. With UR up, we align center and up with left, and then simultaneously with our left hand, we align the corner to left, and here we got a skip there, but normally it'd be like that, to align all 4 of those at the same time. Then we switch to UL pin, and we align our square with the right corner, and simultaneously align this corner to this bottom edge. So that would look like that. And then we would put our top pins up and align what we have up top with our pair that we just built. Then we'd put all the pins except for the bottom left and align the top right corner to the bottom right. And then we do a simul move to put everything to 12, like that. So that is the Foxgirl Flip. If you have any questions about how the method works, please ask in the comments. I'll be happy to answer down there. I also want to talk a little bit about the advantages and pros and cons of the method. So mostly I'll be comparing to 10-move Memoless, as that's the most similar method as far as skill level goes. I think that this is a direct improvement on 10-move Memoless in most cases, because it's simply one move shorter, and the one move that it cuts out is a D move. So And in exchange, all that you have to do is inspect for an extra second to determine what move you're making on the back for the first move. And you don't even have to remember it. So really, I guess technically it's not a memoless method, but in my opinion it is, because the small bit of memorization is very easy to both to inspect and then to execute. So in that sense, I think that it's usually a strict improvement on 10-move Memoless. On the other hand, it does have a slight drawback in that you don't have the flexibility to utilize as many kinds of skips. I am kind of working on a way to utilize adjacent edge skips. So something like this. If you get a face that looks like this in a scramble, then you might look and think, oh, I have these two adjacent edges. And in 10-move Memoless, that's really good, because your first move would be something like that. And then you skip one of your single pin U moves. Whereas in Foxgirl Flip, you're kind of just screwed out of that, out of being able to use that. You can actually use a slightly different pin order where you do like the D move, and then that preserves those two being aligned, and then you follow that up with the U move here, and then you would do the R move, but it's much clunkier, and you don't want to have to change your pin order just to utilize skips most of the time. So that would be a more advanced technique within Flip. So you do kind of lose some of that flexibility, but I think generally it's going to be worth it, especially if you just don't want to think and you just want to like do the turns that are part of your method and not worry too much about when you're going to get skips or whatever. Because while you can make it more efficient with that alternate pin order thing, it's often not going to be worth it, and it's going to be more worth it to just either do Foxgirl Flip normally or switch to 10-move Memoless for that solve. Which I do think is viable since everything about the two methods are identical except for that first turn. So I think the way that you're going to see the most success with this is going to be to select between 10-move Memoless if you see a bunch of skips in inspection that would work for 10-move Memoless, and if you don't, then you do Foxgirl Flip so that then you guarantee the skip of the D move on the back face. When we're comparing this to something like a no-flip method, it's obviously worse, but I do think that this gives a lot of benefit for intermediate to early advanced solvers who don't want to memorize a ton of things, to not put a ton of effort into that side of clock, while still being able to get a lot of benefits from simultaneous moves, because this is a 9-move method every time, which is only 2 moves worse than 7-simul, which is, I guess, the optimal, the holy grail of clock methods, as it were, to do 7 moves and not have to flip. So you do obviously have to flip for the Foxgirl Flip, but it is only 9 moves, whereas a lot of other flip methods are as many as 14. I think that's kind of everything that I wanted to talk about with this method. If you get a good time with it, feel free to comment that below. I'm really excited to see where this can go. I think that it has genuine potential. I'm not super familiar with the clock method meta as a whole, but I do think that this could be the best intermediate method that's been developed so far. I guess that's the other comparison that I could make is to the Elise method, which I don't know super well. I do know that I'm not sure if it's a 9-move method or a 10-move method. I know that it requires memorization of about 3 to 4 moves from inspection. And it has no D moves. So I guess that would kind of be the benefit that Elise has over Foxgirl Flip, is that Foxgirl Flip has 1 D move right at the very start, whereas Elise has none. It is a much easier method to learn and start using. again, due to the fact that there's only one inspected move, and even then, like, it's the first move that you actually execute, so it's very easy for memorization and execution. So now that's actually everything that I wanted to say. This is a bit of a ramble, and if anybody goes and makes a better tutorial for this method, that would actually be really cool. Hopefully this is enough for other people to at least start to be able to use the method, to understand the method, and to see what kind of potential it has. I do have a friend, Echo, who has already gotten a sub 7 average with this method, if I am remembering correctly. So again, this does have serious potential. Yeah, I'll cut off my rambling there. Hope you enjoy. Happy solving.